Hi.
Good.
Hi.
Hi.
How are
There
you?
you go.
Good. How are you?
Doing well now that it's working.
No, it's great. Thanks for making time, and sorry for the
No worries.
technical probs. So we'll just talk for about 10 minutes or so, and we'll just, it's not live. We'll just use the best parts when it does go to the public. So,
Okay, how's this framed? Should I
yeah, maybe, yeah, because we only get a part of that lady in the painting, or whoever that is. Okay. Yeah, that's better. Yeah, that's great. I think you and I met a number of years ago when I used to work at the Texas Book Festival.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I
Oh,
used to be the program director, but
neat.
I was a journalist before that, and now I'm a journalist again. So,
Cool. So where
um,
are you guys based?
Austin.
Oh, so Kirkus is based in Austin.
Yeah, the corporate headquarters is here, and I'm a native Texan, so it made sense for me to stay here. But I go to New York about once a month to
Oh,
just do stuff in New York that I need to do. So, um, yeah.
I'm gonna put one more level of book on this.
Okay. Yeah, that's great.
Okay.
Yeah. So did they stop with the construction?
Oh, I don't. Yeah, it was like somebody was doing something. It sounded like a very loud vacuum cleaner, but now it's done.
Oh, good. Okay, that's great. So tell me, just sort of broad question to start out with for you. Why did you choose YA to write in the first place?
Well, I started writing my first book when I was in college, and so really I was only a couple of years out of being a teenager myself when I started that book. So it didn't really feel like I was making a choice per se, but I'd always loved books and movies and just like media about young people. So it felt like a really natural progression for me.
Yeah. So you've written two trilogies, right?
Yes.
Okay. Um,
I've
so
co-written one and I've written one on my own and then now a duology.
okay. So how do you know? Like, how are you absolutely certain at the outset of writing a trilogy that you'll actually want to spend, all that time with those characters in particular?
Well, I think for the Summer I Turned Pretty trilogy, that was initially going to be one book. And then I wanted to do like a bunch of summers in one girl's life to show her as she moved through adolescence. And as I started writing it, I think I was only maybe about 30 pages in when I realized there was no way I was going to be able to do everything I wanted to do in one book. So I really wanted to show her from a young age up through, young adulthood. So I think it ends when she is like 21.
Hmm. So it's ambition.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess. I mean, I think it's just a bigger, like a bigger landscape, to be able to do this broader strokes on and be able to dig into stuff.
Yeah, yeah. And so in this one, what would you say that Lara Jean really learns in this installment?
I mean, I never like to think about in terms of like what, the lesson is that's been learned, but I guess you could say, I mean, just through the experiences she goes through in books 1 and 2, I think that she sort of comes a bit more out of her cozy, warm little shell and is being more brave in her choices.
Right. So it's different if, I mean, I agree with you that it's problematic for a writer to sit there and think, what is the reader going to learn? I mean, that seems didactic.
Yeah,
But we
especially
always,
that people always go like, "What lessons should these kids learn from your books?" And I'm like, I never want it to feel prescriptive. It's like kind of whatever you take from it. But in terms of
yeah,
what the character learns, I think she does learn. And then as far as what the reader learns, I don't know. I mean, hopefully something.
yeah, yeah. No, that's what I mean. It's so interesting because it is so crucial that the character learns something, but if you dictate what the reader learns, you've basically not written a very good book. right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it just seems like this one that she learned, yeah, that she came out of her shell, and I like that about it. Um, so I mean, the crucial thing at the heart of this book is obviously the interplay between Peter and Lara Jean. Is it different for you writing male versus female characters? Is it the same? Like, how do you get into their mindsets?
It never feels difficult for me.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't. It doesn't like if for Summer I Turned Pretty series. There were whole chapters. Like half of the book was written from the brothers' perspectives.
Uh-huh.
So, and I guess making sure I clearly like delineated between the two different like voices of these two brothers because it's sort of similar because they're brothers but very different characters. So, but for me, I guess it doesn't feel like such a hardship to do a male voice.
Yeah, yeah. And so what's next for you after this one?
Well, I have a illustrated chapter book called Princess Petal
Oh.
that that I started working on a long time ago, and I think it's finally going to come out hopefully next year or maybe early 2017. And
Yeah.
then a new young adult thing, but it's still really too soon to say what it's going to be.
Yeah. And Princess Petal, that's middle grade.
Yeah, young middle grade.
Yeah. And is Simon Schuster going to do that one too?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Nice. So that would be your first middle grade, right?
No, actually, I wrote a book called Claire Lee and the Apple Pie Dream, which is also an illustrated chapter book.
Yeah.
Middle grade, it's the chapter books. I wouldn't say quite middle grade, maybe like, ages 7 and up kind of thing, depending on the like, reading level.
Mm-hmm. And what do you, I mean, obviously you've written more YA, like you sort of prefer YA, or do you want to be a kind of all over the map kind of kids book writer? Or
I think that for me, YA just comes the easiest. It doesn't feel like as much of a stretch. I think it's just because I'm naturally not a short story writer. And I think, when I write chapter books, it's a smaller canvas again. And so it's like writing a poem, where every word is really important. You should justify everything that's in the story, and it has to be really tight and just like a poem. And I think with YA, you just have more room to build the story. So for me, I think I would just say that's like an easier thing to do.
yeah, yeah. Middle grade is such a concentrated.
Yeah, it's like really compact.
Yeah, yeah. Every word has to be just right. So, on social media, you engage really well with your readers. I'm curious, if they sort of how often you take their ideas or suggestions about what they want to see happen to your characters versus just sort of solely listening to your imagination and going where your imagination takes you.
I don't really take into account crowd requests because I think then you feel like you're sort of like crowdsourcing your book. You know what I mean? And like you kind of, I think you have to listen to yourself and follow the path that you want to take. I think especially when you write a series, it can be really difficult because you start book 1, that comes out, and you're working on book 2, and people are like, oh, I want this to happen, I want that to happen, and you really have to quiet those voices because I think you have to answer to yourself first and make sure you tell the story that you set out to tell.
Yeah. And so last question, what's it like, writing with someone? You had a great series with Siobhan Vivian versus just writing by yourself.
I think for me, the biggest difference in writing with someone is I always like joke. Well, I'll say first, Siobhan and I are best friends and we really love each other, and we're just like buddies. And so we read each other's work. We write together. We just have so much fun together, and we help each other with our own stories. And so I think the biggest difference I would say is kind of like when you babysit your friend's kid. And like your niece or your nephew or someone that's not your kid, and you love the kid, but you're not going to like discipline the kid. Not really. You know what I mean? But you would be like, that's their kid. So they have to decide how they want to like deal with mischief. And so when she gives me notes or when I give her notes on her stuff or vice versa, there's a sort of, you know, you want to help fulfill their vision. You know what I mean? And you want to help with that, but you're not trying to direct what they do. You just want to help them complete their goal. So when it's the two of us working out together, then we're just both in it equally. And it's like our shared baby that we can both yell at or discipline as we see fit.
Or kick to the curb.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, great. Well, thanks for making time for us today. Sorry for the tech probs.
No worries. Do you think you got enough? Want me to say anything else?
Yeah, we'll be good. Do you want to say your ABCs? We know you know how to write, but do you know how to say the alphabet?
No, I don't know.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Well, thanks so much. And we'll get this up in July.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, have a good day. Bye.